American President Joe Biden told Russian President Vladimir Putin that the United States is prepared to launch strong economic measures should Russia invade Ukraine, signaling that these new measures would pack a bigger punch than the sanctions issued in 2014 that failed to stop Russia from occupying Crimea. Biden and Putin finished a video conference and discussed the Ukraine crisis. The call with Putin came at a sensitive time for Biden, who once helmed the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and had some diplomatic duties as vice president to Barack Obama. Because of its size, regional influence and military might, Russia is a perennial headache for Washington. The video summit was evidence that even as Biden has sought a less frenetic foreign policy than that of his direct predecessor, the Kremlin's walls are difficult to scale. Ukraine was the main topic of discussion, with 90,000 Russian troops having gathered on the much smaller nation's eastern border. Those happen to be the regions of Ukraine, Donetsk, and Luhansk, where pro-Kremlin feelings are already strong, to begin with. Biden and Putin spoke for about 2 hours over a video call. Biden told Putin directly that if Russia further invades Ukraine, the United States and European allies would respond with strong economic measures. He said, "We would provide additional defensive material to the Ukrainians above and beyond that which we are already provided. And we would fortify our NATO allies on the eastern flank with additional capabilities in response to such an escalation." The virtual summit came just days after an explosive intelligence analysis, first reported by The Washington Post, revealed that Moscow could be planning to launch a 175,000 troop offensive against Ukraine early next year. Leading up to the talk, Putin had warned Biden against crossing his red lines when it comes to Ukraine, seeking a guarantee that NATO forces would neither expand into Eastern Europe nor allow Ukraine to join as a member. Biden aimed to make clear that his administration stands ready to take actions against the Kremlin that would exact a very real cost on the Russian economy, according to White House officials. Putin, for his part, was expected to demand guarantees from Biden that the NATO military alliance will never expand to include Ukraine, which has long sought membership. That's a non-starter for the Americans and their NATO allies. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said, "We've consulted significantly with our allies and believe we have a path forward that would impose significant and severe harm on the Russian economy. You can call that a threat, you can call that a fact, you can call that preparation. You can call it whatever you want to call it." The leader-to-leader conversation, Biden speaking from the Situation Room, Putin from his residence in Sochi, was one of the toughest of Biden's presidency and comes at a perilous time. U.S. intelligence officials have determined that Russia has massed 70,000 troops near the Ukraine border and has made preparations for a possible invasion early next year. The U.S. has not determined whether Putin has made a final decision to invade. Still, Biden sought to make clear to the Russian leader that there will be a very real cost should Russia proceed with military action, according to a senior administration official who briefed reporters on the condition of anonymity. The Russians said in their readout of the Biden-Putin meeting that Ukraine was the predominant subject of the conversation and Biden had emphasized the allegedly threatening nature of the movements of Russian troops near the Ukrainian borders and outlined sanctions measures that the United States and its allies would be ready to apply in the event of a further escalation of the situation. The Kremlin statement said, in response, Vladimir Putin stressed that the responsibility should not be shifted onto the shoulders of Russia, since it is NATO that is making dangerous attempts to conquer Ukrainian territory and is building up its military potential at our borders. Therefore, Russia is seriously interested in obtaining reliable, legally fixed guarantees excluding the expansion of NATO in the eastern direction and the deployment of offensive strike weapon systems in the states adjacent to Russia. Putin aide Yuri Ushakov told reporters on a conference call that the Russian president told Biden while Americans are worried about Russian troops thousands of kilometers away from the United States, Moscow is really worried about Russia's security, the security of Russia in a global sense. Asked if Putin promised Biden that he would not use his troops in Ukraine, Ushakov dismissed the idea of an invasion. He said, "There was not even such a discussion. What do you mean to bring in troops? What is it, an invasion, or what? This was out of the question." The Kremlin said Putin told Biden he wanted reliable, legally binding guarantees against NATO expansion further eastward and complained about NATO attempts to develop Ukrainian territory. Putin also called for guarantees that offensive strike systems would not be deployed in countries close to Russia, according to the Kremlin. Leaders from Britain, the United States, France, Germany, and Italy spoke and agreed to stay in close touch on a coordinated and comprehensive approach in response to Russia's military build-up on Ukraine's borders. Sanctions against the biggest Russian banks, and curbing the conversion of rubles into dollars and other currencies, were also being considered. The United States has evaluated the possibility of curbing investors' ability to buy Russian debt on the secondary market, a measure that, even if taken only by Washington, was seen as having a severe impact on Russia's government. Washington could target the Russian Direct Investment Fund as well. Also, U.S. officials have told members of Congress they have an understanding with Germany about shutting down the Nord Stream 2 pipeline if Russia invades Ukraine. On the other hand, Ukrainian authorities charged that Russia is still sending tanks and snipers to the line of contact in war-torn eastern Ukraine to provoke return fire, an accusation that comes amid fears that a Russian troop buildup near the Ukrainian border might indicate plans for an invasion. The ministry alleged in the statement that Russia is holding training camps under the leadership of regular servicemen of the Russian armed forces and reinforcing units near the contact line with additional 122mm self-propelled artillery vehicles, tanks, and infantry fighting vehicles, as well as increasing the number of sniper teams in the area. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov refused to comment on the allegations, redirecting questions to Russia's defense ministry, which has not yet commented on the statement. Analyst Jonathan Marcus said Russia's military option could take a variety of forms, from a large incursion to a significant invasion of the eastern part of Ukraine. One aim would be to bring the main fighting elements of the Ukrainian army to battle and to inflict such a defeat upon them that the Kiev government has to rethink its position. Invading territory amidst a hostile population has significant risks. Ukraine's armed forces have had some Western weaponry and training and are much improved since 2015. However, Russian forces have also improved over recent years. The firepower Russia is building up is impressive. For all the talk about Ukrainian sovereignty, NATO cannot and will not come to Ukraine's aid. And additional weapons supplies might simply contribute to Russia's justification for war. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that, while the talks brought no sensations, he was grateful for Biden's unwavering support. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba told the Reuters news agency that talks between Biden and Putin had enabled deterrence and de-escalation. But he said the focus is to put together a deterrence package to ward off any further escalation from Russia. Ukrainian authorities have said Moscow could be planning a military offensive at the end of January, although US officials say it is not yet clear whether Putin has made a decision. In light of these developments, your opinion is important. Should the US protect Ukraine?